Okay, hello, new interns. We are back, and today we have Sam Lonac. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Is that how you pronounce it, Sam?
That's all good. There's actually internal debate about it within my own
Oh,
family.
got it.
So it could either be Lonac, Lonac, whatever you want.
There's variations. All right, well, Sam Lonac's with us, and we are going to be talking to him about his position at iPromote. He's a marketing intern there, and he's going to talk to us how he got it, what he does in it, and some advice he has to share. But first things first, Sam, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's freezing, but I'm still doing good. Thank you for asking. And, just so we can kind of understand who we're learning from, who we're talking to. Sam, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Campbell, California, but I usually just tell people San Jose. It's really close, and that's usually what they know. But yeah, I grew up in Campbell and was there until I went to college, and now I'm at Cal Poly SLO.
Awesome. And so that was my next question, which is where do you go? You go to Cal Poly SLO, and what are you majoring in, and when are you expected to graduate?
I am majoring in business administration with a concentration in marketing, and I'm set to graduate this spring.
Sweet. I'm right there with you, man. It's getting close.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I just got the email about the commencement stuff, so it's getting real now. So
yeah, it's like awesome and simultaneously terrifying, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, aside from and actually, how do you like the academics there and the student culture? Essentially, how's that aspect of your school?
I love it here. I think Cal Poly was definitely like the perfect fit for me. Like close enough to home where you can go home for weekends, but also far enough away. So as far as just like the culture of students here, it's been, really great so far. The College of Business is really like the standout for me, and really what you kind of just like focus on when you're in the College of Business, because it is a larger school, not too large, but over 20,000. But you really feel kind of like there's a school within the school in OCOB, Orfalea College of Business. And so, yeah, I really loved all my concentration courses, and even the ones from the other concentrations like finance and accounting. Like all those professors are like definitely like the strong suit of Cal Poly, in my opinion. The class sizes are like really small. I've never had classes more than like 40 people. And so like you end up actually getting to know the professors, which I was not expecting at all coming into a state school. So yeah, I have no complaints.
That's totally solid, and I know it goes without saying that it's pretty tough to get in that program, so congrats to that, honestly.
Thank you.
And, aside from academics, what do you enjoy spending your free time doing? What are if you have any hobbies, or do you have any time wasters? What do you do kind of outside of school?
Definitely have some time wasters. Usually my biggest one is like YouTube is a big time waster for me. I actually deleted it today. I was like, that today is the day, it's gone. So we'll see how long that lasts. But as for hobbies, I like to cook. That's probably like my main hobby now. In high school and like early college, I was really into music, and it would make music and release it with my friends. I was in a band in high school, and then kind of went solo in the beginning of college. But I was just with the same guys. We just were like producing stuff on our computers and stuff. But yeah, as I've gotten more busy with school, I just haven't had time for that. So now it's mostly cooking, gardening in the summer is kind of what I'm into. But yeah.
That's really, really cool, actually. Cooking is definitely something that I think if you develop, it's like it benefits everyone. It's not a hobby that benefits you.
I just love food, so it's perfect.
Yeah, that's a solid motivation. And, so moving more towards your role, where you are right now as an intern, can you tell me, and for those listening and watching, what's your current job title? Who are you working for, and who are they, essentially?
Gotcha. So in November, I started at a company called iPromote in San Luis Obispo, and they are an advertising technology company. And that came about to me because I was doing a job that I'm currently still doing it on campus at Cal Poly. where I sell ads for the school paper. And so that was kind of like the segue in terms of like the relevant experience I had for that. Cause I'm a marketing student, but advertising is like marketing adjacent. So I just went for it. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more how it came across my radar, but
we're going to definitely dig into that. But as for iPromote as a company, you mentioned it's technology advertising. Now, can you break that down just a little bit more for those who aren't really sure? It seems general, right? Like, what does that kind of mean for the company?
Definitely. So iPromote is a business-to-business company where they are selling technology to advertising agencies, and there are also some other revenue streams for them. But mainly the front-facing stuff that people would see is their automated ad creation. And so it's really cool. They use web scraping to take all of a company's like assets basically from their website, from their social media, and it will automatically like detect their colors and find their logo, their taglines and stuff like that, and create an omni-channel campaign. So that's like display ads, it has social media, video, mobile. I'm missing a bunch. There's like 8, and it's always expanding as well too, and they are constantly offering new offerings. So it's very cool. I'm still wrapping my head around it because I mean that's only like just scratching the surface of that. So that's basically how I've been explaining it to friends and family.
No, that definitely helped. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna dig a little bit further. If you reach the limit of kind of what you know, you can totally mention that.
For sure.
So in your explanation, right, so it sounds like, well, first of all, it sounds like a new type of software, right? I've never heard of this concept before. And is it an AI? Because you mentioned video, it's scraping, right? It's taking the code and interpreting it and then generating something new that's relevant. That seems very AI driven, but is there a human element to it to sustain it, or is it like fully automated by AI?
So there's definitely like a machine learning component to it. In terms of like the AI question, their kind of goal with it was to make it super accessible. Like advertising is kind of an industry where it's not super accessible. You have to have really high budgets to be able to get into it. And there's a lot of labor that goes into like running and managing a campaign. You need to get a graphic designer. You need to go back and forth about 10 times before you figure out the right messaging, the right logo and stuff like that. So what this reduces that too is just to have one person on the team at these advertising agencies that can manage, like, theoretically you could have like 100 campaigns you're managing, and it's as easy as just you type in your business, they detect it, and basically do 95% of the work for you. You can just tweak a few things here and there and press a button and it's delivered. And they also, just in terms of the whole, they also are just really good at the technical component as well. Like, you don't even need to use their like creative side of it as well. They're just also operate as a DSP, which is a demand side platform for advertising. And so they're the ones that are bidding on the ads as well. So the supply side platforms, they're the ones who put up all the ad space on the internet. And then iPromote bids on, millions of ads to then be able to serve all the ads that they have orders for.
First of all, that was a fantastic explanation. I got lost towards the end only because I'm not too familiar with DSP. I already forgot the acronym.
There's supply side platform and demand side platform. So SSP and DSP. So they operate as a DSP in addition to all that front facing like consumer software where you the ad creation. So there's the ad creation, and then there's also just operating as like kind of a traditional advertising agency as well.
So the ads, they're bidding on the ad space, but to use for their clients.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. Cool. Yeah. That's an insane idea. I've never heard of it, but it sounds awesome, and I'm sure it's going to blow up even larger. Would you consider it Is it considered a startup, or is it farther along in progress as a business?
They've been around for a while, actually. I think that it's just been kind of something that has like pivoted over time. I know that they were like really like more in display advertising originally, and I think that the software I was telling you about with the automated detection of colors and all that stuff has just kind of like come as the technology has been there. They're a technology first company, which is like a big thing that I've been talking with my boss about. But like really, they're a technology company, and so like as they were like a pioneer when it came to integrating with like the cloud, and so they've just been kind of like expanding over time. But they've been around for well over a decade now. So I would not consider it a startup really, but they're very experienced. It's a smaller team, but they can do some pretty amazing things because all of that kind of like work that would traditionally be on like a team of people is getting kind of like outsourced essentially. So it's able to really operate as like a really large business, even though they maintain a relatively smaller headcount.
Yeah, so it's an established company, but they'll have new technologies that they produce, and that kind of gives it like a new feel. But they're established.
Mm-hmm.
Solid. Thanks for explaining that. And so, those are the types of tangents we get on because I get really interested in these types of companies that people are working for. But
it's really interesting for sure.
It totally is. But as to how you got this position, this marketing internship, did you apply on a job site, like a traditional application? Did you have a referral from a friend or family, or did they reach out to you? How did you come into this position?
So it's actually a really funny story. But so as I mentioned, I have that job on campus where I sell advertisement for the Cal Poly school paper.
Yes.
And so that was what gave me the motivation to actually apply once I saw it. But the actual application process was extremely simple and was totally kind of honestly a coincidence. But I don't know if you're familiar with the American Marketing Association. They've got clubs at a bunch of different schools, but that's essentially Cal Poly's marketing club is through the American Marketing Association. And so this year, one of my goals was I want to go to a bunch of those meetings because I want to learn and network and meet all the different marketing students at Cal Poly. The last 2 years, I just like had COVID, was making it interesting. The first year, second year, I had a job, and it was just kind of like difficult. But this year, I was like, this is the year I'm going to actually go to these meetings.
Awesome.
And so I show up first day of school. I go to the meetings. I sign up for their group me chat. And then immediately I find out that my on-campus job has weekly meetings at the exact same time that they meet. And so I was like, well, I guess that door is closed. But I just hung around in their group chat, and they post regularly opportunities for internships. And so, around like I would say like mid-October, I just got a notification on my phone that posted iPromote is looking for a marketing intern, and it didn't specify when it was going to be. I didn't know if it was a summer internship or a now thing, but I found out that they were a local company and was like all over that. I wanted to work in an office. I know a lot of people like to work from home, but like I kind of wanted to like, meet the people, and kind of like my biggest fear when it came to graduating and getting a job was like, I don't know what it's like to, go into an office and, dress up and have to, conduct yourself professionally. And like, I was like, I want that experience. And so it was just a 1-page PDF that got posted in there, and I was on my phone when I saw it. And I had previously just created a new resume for that other job and stuff. So I had everything already. So I just wrote a quick blurb and sent it in within 5 minutes of it coming across my screen. So I just was like on top of it. And I heard back within probably a couple days. And then we scheduled interviews from there. So I feel really bad. I'm not actually a technical member of AMA, but I shout out AMA. They're amazing. I would recommend everybody does it. It just didn't work for me because I have a job that meets during that time. But I know they do a lot of great things. It's just their marketing opportunities were awesome, and so I kind of swooped in on that one.
So, okay, I thought you were going to tell me it was kind of like a connection, but that was fully you. You totally got that position. There was no help aside, of course, going through the clubs. But so just to be clear, so I can kind of share this with others.
Yeah.
The American Marketing Association is affiliated. Well, no, clubs are affiliated with it. The club that was on your campus, was it literally called the San Luis Obispo Cal Poly American Marketing Association, or did it have its own?
It's Cal Poly AMA. I don't want to spread misinformation. I'm honestly not most knowledgeable about this, but I believe it's Cal Poly AMA, and you can either be like a paying member or just go to the meetings. And so I was just I'll go to a meeting when I can. It's just completely dependent on whether my other jobs meetings are during that time.
And so the group me, that was that something that was kind of promoted in the meeting by whoever the panel of people part of the club, or like was it a random student who reached out to you, hey, join this group me? How'd you get into that? I think
it was like a QR code on the screen on the first day, like scan this, join the thing. I knew that they have a reputation for really like providing a lot of great opportunities to marketing students at Cal Poly. And so I had like caught a couple meetings the year before. It wasn't like it was my first time there. But I wasn't in the group me the previous year. So I was like, I need to get in that group chat because I know that that's where a lot of these opportunities are posted. So, but they are affiliated with AMA like directly. That's what the name is. And then there's the paying members or the non-paying members. But everybody can join that group chat. So.
Wow, that is super awesome. And you weren't necessarily even looking for a job actively, right? But since it came up, you decided to apply and you got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for me, it was just kind of a right place at the right time kind of a thing. Yeah. And I was also super open to doing it during the school year. It didn't specify, but I was like, if I can get on top of this now, then I don't actually have to do a summer internship. I've kind of got a tricky situation coming up this summer. I'm starting a master's program like mid-summer, and Cal Poly gets out pretty late. And so I only have about like a month and a half. So it's not really enough to have a summer internship this summer, like a full-blown one. So this really like kind of like alleviated that pressure of me to have to get one because I was able to, See, I'd already previously done an internship my sophomore year in the music industry. And that was just through like personal connections. But so I wasn't like super pressured, like I need to have an internship. It was just the fact that it was relevant to what I was doing. I knew I had advertising experience because of what I was just starting. And so I just, had the confidence to just submit an application because of that.
It was a no-brainer and you took it. Yeah,
exactly.
What master's program have you already decided what program it is?
Yeah, I've decided, and I recently got accepted. So the only thing that was contingent on was that I graduate in the spring. So I just needed to get the right classes. But as of like 2 days ago, I'm registered. I'm all good. So it's all set. But yeah, I'm actually coming back to Cal Poly next year. This is my third year. And so I'm coming back next year for my fourth year, which is going to be in the master's program. It's the MSBA, Master's in Science of Business Analytics. It's kind of like a cutting edge program that Cal Poly has, and I previously had the professor who runs it in a class, and I was really interested in the topic. So that was also kind of a new thing for me this year was pursuing that. But this, we're here to talk about the internship. So, but that's kind of why I was like, I'm just going to get it out of the way during the school year rather than waiting for summer.
Yeah. And so let's see. What would you say, this is an important question that I ask all interviewees. What do you think, if you were to speculate, what got you this position? You applied, you sent in your resume. What about you and your experience or your personality? What do you think earned you the role?
It's a great question. I think, honestly, I had a relatively strong resume due to the fact that I did have previous job experience in college. I worked at an ice cream shop for like a year and a half when I got here, and I ended up being the assistant manager by the time I left.
Nice.
I had a previous internship in the music industry that was super interesting. It was a small artist management company that has like a small roster of artists, and they also launched a lo-fi record label while I was there. So I was able to kind of mention both things. So I had some hands-on experience like that. And then also I think that having advertising related experience was really important to them. And since I had just recently started at Cal Poly's advertising agency, essentially, I was able to kind of be able to know kind of the lingo and stuff like that. So I think on paper I looked good. And I also think that GPA is definitely a part of it as well. I know when there's a lot of applications, there's kind of this sentiment in college like, oh, grades don't matter. But I feel like I've gotten some of the opportunities that I've had because I have a higher GPA, because it's so extremely competitive. Like, nobody warns you that you're competing against like thousands upon thousands of students, and you have to differentiate yourself any way possible. So I think that all those factors together were kind of like what made me relevant for this position in particular, whereas somebody else would be much more qualified for other internships. This one was a little bit more in my wheelhouse.
And so for the interviews, which I'm sure there were either several rounds or maybe a couple, what do you think? Do you feel like you had kind of already? Did you get the sense that you had already earned it, or was it still kind of earning it in the process of the interviews, talking to them? What kind of pushed it over the edge?
Yeah, there's 2 interviews. So the first one was virtual, and then the second one was at their office, slow. And first one was just with the HR woman. She's amazing, and completely like put all my nerves at ease.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was essentially just a conversation. Like, it was probably like 20 minutes, just talking about who I am, like what I'm doing at Cal Poly. Honestly, a lot of the same things that we're talking about. And I felt like I just got like a good sense of like the energy of the workplace. She just could not stop raving about the culture of iPromote and like how tight knit it is. All the people there have been there for like a long time. There are new people, obviously, but like the core people have been there for a while, and it feels honestly like a family, for lack of a better term. Like, everybody just like really knows each other, knows what's going on in each other's lives. And so she was like expressing that to me. I was like, this is amazing. They actually have not had interns prior to me. It's like a new thing. There's one guy that got brought on earlier in this year for UX UI, but I'm the first marketing intern that they've had. So it was kind of a new thing for them, new thing for me. So it felt like we were just kind of like coming together and just getting to know each other. And then the second one was when I met with my boss now. He's actually one of the co-founders of the company. So it's also a unique thing about it. With it being a smaller company, there's not like a dedicated marketing department that they have. So I've just been able to kind of like be in the office with all of these people who have so much experience.
Executives.
Executive of level people that are just kind of like imparting their wisdom on me. And so much of what I've learned in this internship has not really been like directly from like what I'm working on, but like all of this time that I've been spending with these like expert level people in their fields. And I'm talking to the finance guy, and the just everybody there is just an expert at what they do. And so I've been soaking as much information as I can. But the second one was at their office. It was honestly kind of scary. My boss, my now boss, he was asking me like crazy, like, they're not like that crazy questions, but like asking me what all these different acronyms meant in the advertising space, like, like click-through rates and stuff like that. But it was like much more difficult than just like those. But he just like probably listed off like 5 acronyms. He was like, do you know this? Do you know what this is? Do you know what this was? And
what was your success rate for
I think I got like 0 or 1 of them right.
Oh,
like,
so
I was just
really hard.
Oh, it was brutal. It was brutal. Yeah. I was like, oh, this isn't a good. As soon as he started asking about the acronyms, I was like, this is not going how I expected it to go. But if I were to give advice to people, is just be honest. Like, I was truthfully just like, I actually don't know what that is, and like I'm totally here to learn. But like, yeah, I think I got 1 right, and it was like the click-through rates or something. But like everything else was like just completely over my head, and I just was like making them aware that like, I don't know what that is, but like, trust me, I'll be able to pick it up.
Uh-huh.
And they were very considerate about that. My boss was like, I totally understand. It's not like necessary. You know these things. I just need to know your level of experience. So
Oh,
I
got
think
it.
I think that for a lot of internships, that's what the interviews are doing, is just seeing like your level. It's not like it's ruling you out if you don't
Yeah.
know things, but just kind of gauging your experience.
That is so cool. And I love that you said that you didn't actually know a lot of them. That's so real, you know? So thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
with a company with such a low turnover rate, clearly people love being there and you love being there. And a lot of the value you're taking from it, apart from the stuff you're doing, is just from the exposure to like a company culture and stuff like that. So very, very cool. And
hmm
really briefly, if you can, I'm very curious. It sounds like your advertising work with, is it your entire college or your department, like the business department that you're helping with the ad, not ad sales, but your,
My on campus job where I'm selling.
yeah, yeah.
So that's actually falls under Mustang Media Group at Cal Poly, not affiliated with the business school, but it's Mustang Media Group encompasses the school paper. So it's like the journalism students, and then also KCPR, which is the radio station, and then I'm on the business team there. So I'm just on like the sales team for the media organization. So not affiliated with like the Orfila College of Business, but all my colleagues pretty much are business students and working on the sales team. So
And
yeah,
also
not
Mustang Consulting Group, they also, is there a division that is that does the consulting?
there is Mustang Consulting. That's a different thing. But they some of my colleagues are also on Mustang Consulting. There's so many different like teams of Cal Poly students. Once you get plugged in, you realize that like there's so many different things you can do there, so many clubs, different organizations. But yeah, no, I would be on the business team at Mustang Media Group.
Someone was part of Mustang from your school that I interviewed. I'm forgetting her name. I'll think of it later.
Yeah,
I'm,
no, I would love to hear that. I've got a couple buddies in Mustang Consulting.
that's cool. And real quick, if you can describe your role in that, how do you find people to purchase the ads in the magazine?
Great question. I'm not as good at it as I thought I was going to be. I had no sales experience, but I think that like showing the value that you provide to people is really good. Like we have some like kind of higher value things that we sell. It's not just like ad space, but like there's like quarterly like coupon books that are released. So like all the like kind of bigger stuff, those
Yeah,
kind of can sell themselves sometimes, but really kind of communicating the value that you can bring to the business.
yeah,
And I've also found that like for me, a lot of these more established businesses in Slow I've struggled with, but I've kind of switched my strategy to like helping out the new businesses that are opening. There's all these new businesses in Slow, and so I've been really kind of focusing on them because they need to get a new audience. So that's been my strategy as of late. While I'm saying this though, I also it just totally came to my mind now that you mentioned Mustang Consulting.
uh-huh.
Mustang Consulting is actually what I was applying to at the exact same time as I was applying to iPromote. So I was going through the interview processes at the same time. It didn't work out with Mustang Consulting,
Huh.
but that's actually why I had the finished resume ready to go for iPromote, was that I was just doing the Mustang Consulting as well. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know exactly how that fits in, but like always just kind of like having an up-to-date resume to be able to do different things and just
Oh
getting
yeah,
like interview
yeah,
prep. It also took a lot of the like pressure off of me knowing that I was going through two interview processes at the same time, because I was like, if one doesn't work out, it's not meant to be like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it just totally reminded me that Mustang Consulting I was doing at the exact same time as I was applying to iPromote. Yeah.
Hey, that's a good problem to have, to being interviewed
hmm
for two separate jobs. Now, going more into what you do currently for
hmm
iPromote, are you working? Oh no, you already answered that. You are currently the only marketing intern. It's kind of a new shift towards
hmm
having interns. Would you say that you're in more of a support role or more of a project-oriented role, or kind of a mixture of both? Where would you put yourself on that spectrum?
It's a great question. Right now, and I'm just kind of coming out of it, I've
Mhm.
really been in a learning role. like I've just been coming in there and learning what the company is. Like my explanation to you that I just gave is such a simplification, and I'm not even doing it justice whatsoever. There's so many moving parts to this that I walk into a room and I'm with all of these like grown adults that have been in this industry for over a decade, and I'm like expected to be able to write documentation that can explain what they're saying, but through a kind of more of a sales lens. So what they brought me on to do was to create documentation, marketing collateral that the sales team can use to show prospects, clients, leads, stuff like that. But the stuff is so technical that they need somebody to be able to make it brief, concise, like worded and understandable to people that aren't in the industry. And so it's been really difficult for me to do that because I'm coming from not in the industry as well. So since November, I would say November through January, it was really just me sitting in on meetings, having whiteboarding sessions with my boss he would just explain how the whole product works. And then what I've been working on right now is a one pager. A lot of what I'm doing is like one pagers. But right now is just kind of on the infrastructure, like the technical infrastructure of how the company works with the cloud and stuff like that. So it's been great. They've been sending me to different stuff. I just went to the AWS awesome day. So they've been kind of really like investing in me to like learn about how all of this stuff works. So even though I'm coming from a marketing background, like I'm learning a lot of technical information that, I'm just thrilled about. I find this stuff super interesting. And so I feel like I'm just learning a ton, and I'm ready to start like using it. They also asked me to manage their social medias, which I'm just getting a hold of now through Hootsuite. And other than that, we're also creating ad campaigns to market iPromote themselves, which is something that they've never done before. They've never used their own product to kind of market themselves, but it's like kind of to generate leads type of a thing. So right now I've been kind of working on different ad campaign ideas while also working on the technical, one pagers as well as the social media management. So that's kind of the plates that I'm juggling.
Sam, usually I take notes while people are talking. I was so interested. I forgot to do that, but let me give me a moment. I have some follow-ups for you. And what does AWS stand for? That was an event held by...
So Amazon Web Services. So that is like the cloud side. So the Amazon, the store, the online, the e-commerce, and then Amazon was just like a major trailblazer in the industry of the cloud. And so they developed it for their own use and then started, selling that out to other companies. So I mentioned that iPromote utilizes the cloud. And so one of their, services that they use is AWS. And so they wanted me to, be able to understand how all that works.
And so, and you were saying a large portion of your internship so far, and still, I'm sure, but you're probably coming out of it a little bit more, has been absorbing what their company is, what they do, how they do it. Because I'd imagine to be able to write any of those, it's technical writing.
Yeah.
You got to have like 10 times as much knowledge because you're condensing it all, right? And you got to know all of it up here. So I can only imagine how difficult that is. So trust me, I'm not sure if you explain that to everyone that they would fully understand the difficulty of those pages you're writing, but I totally respect it, man. That takes a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in terms of learning, did they kind of have a structure for, hey, you got to come in this day and we're going to teach you this lesson? Or was it on you to talk to them and reach out to them to teach you things?
They were extremely like accommodating to my school schedule. So it's kind of a matter of like when I would like to be in the office. It's a hybrid position, so I can work from home if I want. I try to be in the office twice a week. So I've kind of nailed it down each quarter. Depending on what my schedule is, it's different. But like this quarter, I'm in there like Mondays and Wednesdays. and my boss is just extremely generous with his time to meet with me. And that's when we have those whiteboarding sessions as well. But it's kind of impromptu. Like I hit a certain roadblock, and then I need to learn something new to be able to write about this new thing. And so then we go over it. And luckily, the person who's proofreading everything I'm writing is one of the people who built the whole system. And so he knows, he's just a library of information on this topic. So I can always come to him and just be like, hey, does this make any sense at all? Because I honestly am like not sure. I'm learning these terms and learning there's so many different terms, industry terms that you have to start learning. So I'm just like, am I using this in like a normal way? But he's been super, super useful, and the whole team is too. So if we want to get more product centered stuff, the product marketing team kind of is helpful with that stuff. So everybody is really generous with their time with me, and has been teaching me. But it is kind of as I need to learn more, they kind of like teach me more.
They catch you up. And for these technical writing pages that you do, it sounds like you always have the opportunity to check with someone who's knowledgeable in it, and they can help you with revisions or help you with understanding it more. And have you been working on one of these pages, or are they asking you for a page every week? Kind of what's the volume?
Not at all. So I have a huge list of stuff that I have to get to. And I'm super excited to. It's kind of just been waiting on certain new changes. Like they don't want to release something until this change has actually been in effect. It's hard to get into without going specifically into like what these things are. But so far, I've been focusing about probably like 80% of my time on this infrastructure page that I was telling you about. It's like almost done and about to get put out to the website and to the partners and stuff like that. But then other than that, I've been working on that campaign I mentioned to you as well. But there's about 5 different, they've mentioned they want me to do a product oriented page that we've been kind of, brainstorming about. But it's been kind of at a relaxed pace. They understand that I'm not working a full-time schedule. I try to hit anywhere between 10 to 15 hours a week. But there's only really so much you can get done when I have so many of these questions I need to get answered. So, so far it's been actually at a relatively relaxed pace, but it's about a pickup, because really the writing of it just started within the last month probably. And so now, that's been kind of where I'm at right now.
You seem to be pretty good with time management, because by the fact that you don't seem overwhelmed and you're actually excited by the volume of stuff that's coming in, because I would have been freaking out at this point, like, oh my gosh, it would have been seeping out of me.
No, there's definitely a bit of that as well. A lot of juggling classes and stuff. Luckily, I'm only in 3 classes this quarter, which is like one of the only quarters I've ever had that. So I've been able to really focus on this. But it also helps that they've got such a cool environment there that I honestly just want to hang out there. And they're always like, you can study here, you can do they're like, you don't have to really be doing work for us while you're here. You can just kind of come here and use it as a quiet space to get away from your roommates and stuff. So I've taken them up on that sometimes as well. So
nice.
They're extremely accommodating. That's one of the things from this interview. People always want to work for these huge companies and these internships, which are great and give you super great name recognition. But if you can find something within a smaller business within your local college community, they understand what being a college student is like, because most of them grew up in the community or went to the college and know what it's like. And a lot of SLO is around Cal Poly and really supports Cal Poly students. So they've just been so supporting to me. And I'm not exactly, I don't know, I haven't interned at a large place, but I imagine that I'm getting a little bit more hands-on, time with these people that, really understand my struggles as a college student, about to graduate with a job and then also an internship. It's people are really understanding with me. So I really appreciate it. That makes the time management easier.
Yeah. It sounds like you pretty much you're happy to work there, and that's pretty rare for people and even interns. So that's solid. And my last question regarding your personal work was I wanted to hear a little bit more about your social media campaigns that you're working on, and kind of what percentage of it is you learning about the campaign and you contributing in like a new way.
So you mean like the social media management of all of their accounts, or the ad campaign?
You mentioned, I think I probably misquoted
There's two things. So if you're talking about the campaign, what I've been working on with that has been coming up with the taglines for it. And what's really cool about their system is that you can change things on the fly. One of the really revolutionary things about it is you can change things on the fly, and it doesn't mean you have to take down the campaign. You can just edit it, and then it'll just edit on the fly. And so what that allows is, and you can run stuff simultaneously as well. And so that's been allowing us to do A/B tests. And so we tried out a preliminary one that we took down, but right now I'm actually coming up with 8 different campaigns with different targets.
That's crazy.
In mind. So we was coming up with different target audience and stuff, changing the different verbiage. And then basically we're going to A/B test all of these different campaigns to see which one is generating the most leads. And that's what we're going to go with. So right now it's been brainstorming taglines. Also, I know this is like a super like kind of like hot topic right now, and people have different feelings about it. But since they are a technology first company, they've been like super encouraging of the utilization of AI to generate these things. And so I've been able to just kind of like learn more about AI, and so I've been using ChatGPT to like really refine the stuff that I've been working on, and like really be able to kind of generate a bunch of stuff, and then filter out what the best results are and stuff. So that's been kind of another reason why I'm really excited about all of this, is because we've got to really work to future proof ourselves in the marketing like world. My professor was just telling me about it. It's like AI is not going to take your job, but like somebody using AI is going to take your job. And so that's I don't know about you, that scares me. And so you've got to be able to future proof yourself. And so working at like a technology first company, that it really encourages you to be like, hey, try these tools out. Like you can try out any tool you like. So like that's been also like amazing. So I've been utilizing that in that project as well. Just it's just very helpful for brainstorming and just generating. It's generating. You don't think of it as a creative tool, but it is extremely creative in terms of how do you say this same thing in 10 different ways with different brand voices. Like it's extremely good at knowing different tones. And so if you come up with, my company's tone is this, then you can kind of tailor your messages in that style. So that's what I'm using it for. Super fun, super exciting. But that's kind of so far where we're at.
So for these campaigns, right? The ones that you're working on, are they for a real client, or is this hypothetical testing? Are these hypothetical campaigns that you guys are testing the success for, that you can transfer the skills later on? Because I know you mentioned you're working on like 7, 8 campaigns. I wasn't sure if these are actually for clients at the moment. So
it's actually with the purpose of generating leads for the sales team at iPromote. So usually the campaign that iPromote is running, I don't know the number, but they're running a bunch of campaigns for a bunch of different clients, but they've never ran a campaign for themselves. And so what we're trying out is how do you use the product to market the product. So these are actually with the express purpose of like, if you're an advertising agency, like how do we put this message across your screen so that you become aware of this technology and want to use it at your company.
Got it.
And so that's what this project is, because they're at this point where they have this amazing technology that can be used to advertise itself, and that's in my opinion a pretty revolutionary idea. I'm not the one who came up with it, but they've just been allowing me to work on it, and so that's been personally like what's excited me the most recently that I've been working on. And right now we're just kind of in the process of creating and getting it to go live, creating landing pages for where it's going to be sent, and stuff like that. So,
and you're
yeah, it's about to go live soon.
You're utilizing AI, things like ChatGPT, but you're also, you said, are you creating ones without AI? You mentioned taglines, and that's essentially what comes to mind. I guess I'm not too familiar, but I think of like captions or hashtags for certain social media posts. Or is that kind of?
Yeah. So display advertising is the stuff that's going to show up if you're on some sort of article. It's going to show up on your screen, and there's a very limited amount of space that it can have to have text on it. And so you need to have really concise verbiage on it that is enticing and draw somebody's. There's the creative part of it, so the visuals of it, and then there's also the messaging. So the taglines is just kind of like a very brief sentence that is going to be like, advertise with us kind of a thing. I can't give away the secret sauce right now to you, but so it's just like brief lines of text that would, like, depending on the different audience, elicit reaction, make somebody want to click it. Like what's going to get somebody to want to learn more about this in a few words.
Theoretically, the ad could show up on, whatever, the sidebar, so the screen box somewhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we've been having just kind of like creative brainstorm sessions where it's like, if you have to get into the persona of the different people that we want. So like an advertising agency, like what would make somebody working at that company want to learn more? So, yeah.
Perfect. And with that, I'm not going to dig any deeper because I finally feel like I do understand your role. You've explained it well to someone who's not in industry, but it worked. You did it. And so thank you for that. I'm going to wrap this up with just a couple of brief questions. Mm-hmm. The first being, is this really solidifying this internship? Is it solidifying your career choice, that you want to go more into marketing, or has it changed your vision drastically and made you want to do something else?
It has definitely changed my opinions on what I'm thinking of doing. So first of all, I think the advertising industry is the most fascinating thing I've ever learned about, because it's at a scale that you would never even imagine. All the work that goes into, all the billions and billions of bids that are happening just constantly to show you stuff on your screen. And so once I became aware of that world, I'm like, this is really interesting, and I might want to stick with this. So that definitely, it turned me on to that. And then also being in a room with all these extremely intelligent technical people and lacking kind of more technical knowledge made me realize I really need to get some more technical knowledge to be able to supplement my business like acumen. And so that's been a very big factor as to why I'm going to pursue the master's in business analytics, to be able to like work with large sets of data, because I think that to be able to work in some of these tech companies, this is really, good stuff to know, to be able to, speak the language. So I've always been somebody that was like kind of debating between, should I do engineering, should I do business, all this kind of stuff. And I'm trying to kind of find a middle ground now where I do actually have this technical knowledge. So that's kind of the big takeaway here. Also, one thing, I didn't want this interview to end before saying this. When it comes to marketing, I think a huge weak spot that colleges have is only focusing on business to consumer. And I've been through so many different classes now, and I've never heard anybody mention B2B marketing. And there's a whole world out there that I was not prepared for. And realizing that B2B, it's not the same thing as like trying to, target somebody with, you're selling some sort of like
retail
bag or something retail. Yeah. Like that's what I feel like my mind has gone to. Like post college, I'm going to be working for some company with this physical product that is going to be in the hands of consumers. It's like, no, a lot of this stuff that we're talking about is like technology that's being sold to different businesses. There's a completely different strategy that has to be involved with that. So I would say don't leave that out of your skill set. Like, you should focus on both sides of it, because I don't like the idea of limiting myself to only being able to work in B2C. I want to be able to work B2B as well. And I've loved my experience thus far with B2B. And I think it's a fascinating world with technology. And so I hope that more classes talk about B2B, because it's extremely important.
We're going to rally them to do so, or at least the students to look into if there's any classes about B2B. And, that leads me to last question of the night. Sam, what would be some relatively brief, but, some advice that you have for students who are looking for similar internships as the one you have now, but also people who are looking for internships in general? What advice would you have for them?
It's a super tough one. I don't feel qualified whatsoever to do that, because there's just so many different experiences that you can have. You can get them from connections, from submitting hundreds of applications to the top firms and stuff like that. But I think that if you can find a path for yourself, whether it's through job experience or joining a club, if you can build up some sort of experience on a resume to be able to, work with different companies and show them that what you're talking about. People are, make most of the time when you're in college, because people cut you a lot of slack for learning and growing in your professional development. And so they're investing in you in these scenarios. And so really just, I guess, taking the pressure off, and just knowing that you're going into it. They don't expect you to know anything. They actually expect you to be kind of a knowledgeable in the area, but it's relatively a blank slate for them to be able to,
Sure.
develop you in the way that they need for their role. So I think that just going in with a learning mindset is probably the most important thing, and not discounting what you have. You might not have an internship at the most massive company ever. My first internship, it was just me and the guy who started the company, but I learned a ton at that as well. So if you can really just do anything that, develops your skills and has, relevant information, then go with that. You don't have to just go for the big dogs,
I like that. Thanks for that advice. That's solid. And I think a lot of people that'll resonate with people for sure. So, Sam, this was a wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed learning about your position, and I can't wait to see what you do continued at iPromote and what you do after and in your education. It's really, really exciting stuff. So we're going to wrap it up here, but I want to say thank you so much again. And if anyone's interested, feel free to connect with Sam on LinkedIn. I'm sure he'd be happy to field any questions you have. So with that, have a good night, Sam. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Of course.